Hey everybody. Thanks so much for joining me here to take a peek at my 2020 December daily album. This was actually the first time I ever attempted to do this project as a standalone project. I'd always documented my Christmas December stories in my Project Life album with a couple of spreads. This was also my first stab at a hybrid approach to memory keeping. This was a super fun project. I really loved it, and I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. So let's just take a quick flip through, and it's fun to look at in video form or in person form because there's some things that fold out and things that come out of pockets and things like that. So yeah. I used the Mary album 6x8 from the 2020 Allie Edwards collection. And the majority of the products that I used are also from that 2020 December daily collection as well. Now I want to tell you before I get started that I do not do a daily approach to December daily. I call this my December stories album because the numbering just doesn't work for me. I tell way more than the 25 stories that you would do for a daily 1 through 25 approach. I document the entire month of December, and however many stories it is what it turns out to be. This album is a little chunkier than I was hoping for, but it is what it is, and I love it nonetheless. So let's dive in. So this is just my title page, my reason why, and I really love how this page turned out. It's a big, huge graphic, typography, and it was probably one of the very last stories I told. I knew I wanted to tell it somewhere. I didn't have a photo, and the way that that turned out made me really happy. I laid this out early on and just used a little light grid on the paper so that it printed with the grid, and then at the end of the month I printed all these pictures, cut them out, and stuck them in place. And I love how it turned out. It's super fun to have kind of like a calendar view over an overview look at the month. I also, because it was my very first time ever doing December daily, I wanted to include a few like nods to past Decembers. And so this is just a little memories of Christmas past, some photos that my family, we were 3 of us, and now there are 4 of us. Some photos that we would take on Christmas morning, and there's just 6 here, and I documented the dates. So just a little insert for that. A little pocket here for my son's wish list. He has a handwritten wish list. I could not help but include that. This is one of the very first stories besides the other 2 that actually happened in October. My son got a hold of the wish book, and so I made this little flap to really focus on the connection that's happening here between he and his grandma, but then to also hide the story. Not that it has anything hidden, but just to really allow the photo to be the focus. So I just hand cut this after I printed that kind of messy circle onto vellum, and I attached it with washi tape. I love inserting some art, and my kids always do really fun hand-printed art projects around Christmas time, so that's a really great spot for that. This was inspiration driven by, I believe it was the product play class. It could have been prep day. It was a while ago. I don't really remember exactly, but it was something that Allie did, and I absolutely loved it. So I love the idea of doing these little full insert pictures with another little photo right here. I can never decide which photo to use. I love the expression on her face. I love the expression on his face and her face here. So I included them both, but covered up one to help your eye kind of focus on one at a time. Just a random story, and I thought it was perfectly fine to leave this side blank. The pattern paper is really nice, and I think it stands on its own. This is one of my favorites. It is a fold out inspired by Pam Baldwin. I think I had seen her travel class that year and was just totally mind blown about this idea of attaching some page protectors together and creating a fold out. So I did that, and I loved how it turned out. I love including 3x4 inserts and to also have more photos and journaling kind of housed in the same story area. the advent calendar, since it was my first time doing December daily, I thought I would need to take a photo of my son opening the advent calendar every single day. And that produced a lot of photos. So I gave him his own spread on one side with some little fold outs to kind of show my favorites, because obviously there aren't 25 pictures here. And I also wanted to include some of the cute, the December daily design type things too, and some embellishments. So adding little flip ups or little journaling foldovers on vellum was the way that I chose to do that. And I'm really happy with the way that worked. And then my daughter's is on the back, and same type of thing. Little vellum flip ups for some journaling, and a bigger photo underneath that one. I layered a few transparencies here. I like the way that they look together. I love including these 3x8 inserts and some little transparent areas. This totally copied what Allie did with her flowers that year, I think. I loved it, including this on one side, a big photo, and having the hidden journaling and a fun card on this as a pocket. And this is just the whole continuation of house lights. My parents' house, inside house, our house. So it's a fun way to include all of these together with little inserts. I got a silhouette machine that year and attempted to foil quill a few things. I am not that good at it, so there's not very many. It's definitely a challenge for me to use the foil quill. So, but I did make this really fun little fold out right here. My daughter drew this Grinch, and so I wanted to highlight all of her artwork from December here. But then whenever you fold it over this way, you can see that's all of my son's artwork. Oh, getting crazy on the little thing here. I should also tell you this is probably my second or third walkthrough ever that I videoed, so bear with me if I don't know, say all the wrong things or make my camera jiggle like that again. All right, so some outside the page protector wrapping photos, some circle photos. Those were super fun. I feel like because this was my first year ever doing December Daily, I had to try everything. I was so excited and so inspired by everything that the community was doing, all the classes that were on Allie's website. It was all really great. And I had so much fun, if I haven't mentioned that already. So I love this project. I think this came right out of Product Play. I hadn't purchased the plastic circles, so I just punched some pattern paper that I had here at the house already. I included my Christmas card. I used one of these great pockets to also include some random photos from our photo shoot in the pocket here. I thought that was great. It kind of bulked up my album a little bit, but I don't care. We have a love of penguins in my family, and so I had to, of course, do a spread on penguins, all things penguin, where it originated from, our penguin pajamas, and other random penguin things that we either got that year or have had over the years. I wanted to include a story about all of the Christmas or holiday themed books, but I also liked this picture of my daughter reading to my son at nap time. So I printed it on vellum and overlaid it on one of these 12 pocket 2x2s. This is just a spread with a hodgepodge of memories from throughout the month. This is kind of one event. This is a random photo, story with a couple random photos. I love taking photos that are just one-off photos with stories and putting them all on the same spread and kind of creating like a cohesive look amongst the spread, but then also telling multiple stories. I feel like it really helps to save on some space as well as kind of tie them all together. I also really love these like 5x7 inserts, whether they be a 5x7 picture or like less than a 5x7 with attached with the attachers that I think Allie has in her shop. She might be out of them right at this moment, but they're fantastic. I love creating this pocket right here to hold this, I think it was a letter to my son from Santa Claus that he received in the mail. So I've got that. I really wanted to include the postage stamp also. And so I included that here with the story across from it. See, I'm a huge fan of these like 5x7 inserts, since 5x7 is roughly the size. And this uses one of those attachers. These smaller than the page protector, or smaller than the 6x8 page protector. They're really great for inserting in between stories that you don't want to do two full 6x8 pages on. I found that I use those a lot. I also did a lot of like little flip ups like this to include either the full story and more photos, or just more photos. They were super helpful. And I love this gold transparency. It's a great divider to be able to put a story on, or an extra photo, or even just some embellishments throughout the album. Christmas morning, I think, was literally the last story I told, because I find that Christmas, I take a lot of photos, and I had a really hard time deciding which photos to use, which ones to not use, and how to pair them all together and lay them out so that they all still kind of stood on their own, but also told a complete story. Again, love these flip ups. I had a lot of fun with these inserts. So this is a single page, this is a single photo, and then whenever you open it, this was designed as a full photo right here, and I just cut it in a kind of quiet space in the photo to where no one's head was cut off, no one's arms were cut off, and you got a full picture of the messy living room after Christmas morning phase 1 happened. This page I did all digitally, and I printed it, and I was really unhappy with like the yellow tone of a couple of these pieces, and so I used a gold paint pen to go over the star and make it a little bit more gold, less yellow. It doesn't bother me so much here, but there was a lot of yellow right there, so you can always do that with a paint pen. Works really well. These are 4 completely random stories that needed to go together. These photos over here visually are messy, they're cluttered. My kids are pretty much naked in these photos. So I thought that I wanted to tell a little bit of information, give the story behind the photos, but then also kind of hide them. So keep them a little bit more private, not only for, you know, social media and all of that, but also for, you know, myself, whenever I'm flipping through, if I'd like to flip this up after reading the story and see the photo, I totally can. So that was, I found a good solution to put multiple photos together that didn't really go together visually, or weren't, you know, the composition wasn't great, or the colors weren't great, or it was just a mess. It worked out really well for me. So I found it really fun, and it gave me a great opportunity to play with some embellishments. The days after Christmas are always my favorite. Everybody has new things to play with. It's like calming after Christmas. There's no expectations after Christmas. You're not leading up to anything. You're not preparing for anything. You're just enjoying yourself. And so we have a lot of time off after Christmas. So I love documenting those moments as well. And that's a wrap on my 2020 December Stories album. Thanks so much for joining me.